So my name is Zincy Tan. I'm the Minnesota Green Corps member with the City of St. Louis Park. And I have been doing mostly projects on multifamily recycling and just trying to educate people on recycling this past year. So this workshop is part of my project. And we are gonna just start off with a brief note on organics. So just a quick show of hands. Are all of you St. Louis Park residents? Is anybody not a St. Louis Park resident? So, yeah, okay. All right, so with organics, in case you don't know what that is, essentially it is food scraps, vegetable peelings, bones, paper towels, compostable utensils or takeout containers, and pizza boxes. All these things can be turned into compost. And compost is a soil amendment. It has a lot of nutrients. It's also very good for water retention. And so when you put it on your gardens, on your lawns, it helps your plants grow much better. If you're a single family resident in St. Louis Park, you have the option to participate in organics curbside. So essentially, if you just call the city and say, I'd like an organics cart, it'll be delivered to you free of charge, and you can just start participating in organics. And it just has a brown lid that differentiates that cart from your recycling and garbage carts. With multifamily residents, you don't have the option for organics curbside, but you can do the drop sites. So in the city, we do have several drop sites that, again, are free for anybody in multifamily buildings to participate in. And we'd really like people to sign up before you participate. So if you're interested, come talk to me after the workshop, or there is a quarter sheet at the table that you can take with more information. So just another note is if you choose not to participate in organics or you have no access to organics, then the items that we talk about today with the workshop, those have to be thrown into the trash. So never into recycling if it's considered organics. Okay, so I've found that when I talk about recycling, it helps people understand what can and cannot be recycled when you understand how your recycling is sorted. So after you put your recyclables in a cart or dumpster and the truck hauls it away, it goes to a place called the Material Recovery Facility, or MRF for short. So after your cart, after your recyclables gets picked up by the truck, they dump it onto a tip floor in the MRF. And a front loader picks up all those materials and puts it onto a conveyor belt. And then that conveyor belt goes through the facility, and there are some people who hand sort the materials, picking out contamination, that very obvious contamination, or items that are too large for the machines in the facility to handle. So after that, the materials go to a machine that is called a star screen. And these star screen, those things rotate very quickly. And they essentially sort lighter items like paper and cardboard away from heavier items that fall through the star screen like glass or metal. Here is unfortunately where a lot of the problems with contamination happen. So we get tanglers, things we call tanglers, in the star screens, things like plastic bags, hoses, Christmas lights, cords that get tangled up, and it slows down productivity in the facilities because they have to stop the machines and workers have to climb in there and cut out those materials. So it costs taxpayer dollars, and it also is dangerous for the workers who have to climb in there. So again, plastic bags, film, hoses, clothing scraps. We don't want these in the general recycling. There are some drop-off options for certain items, but unfortunately other items like the hoses, you just have to trash. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we go through the kit later. So after the whole sorting process goes on, we have separated the materials into their designated locations. The aluminum, for example, gets baled into these rectangular shapes, and they are, I think they weigh about 1 to 2 tons, and they get shipped off to a secondary sorting or recycling facility where they melt it down and make new cans or other items from it. So this is the same with other materials such as mixed paper. It's baled and sent off somewhere else. Now, this leads me to a very important part of recycling, which is the economics. A lot of people have asked, why can't we recycle everything? And the problem is there are just materials that are not valuable enough that people don't want to take it. Sometimes it's also the items, the size or shape is not easy to sort, and a lot of the sorting happens with machines. So if it's not easy to sort, it's just not going to make it through. With other items, there are just non-recoverable materials. So if you can imagine, there are products out there that have plastic melded with metal, and there's no easy way to separate those things, and so we can't recycle them. All of this boils down to one question with recycling, is will someone buy it? If nobody wants to buy it, then the item just simply can't be recycled and it has to be trashed. That's why we always talk about reduce and reuse before recycling. Now, some of you have also maybe heard,
This was my question about China.
Yes.
What that means.
Right. So some of you may have heard about the problem right now, a very big problem with recycling. China is the biggest buyer in the world of recyclables, including from the US. And very recently, they have said, we will not accept certain materials. And for the materials that we are still accepting, we want less contamination. Otherwise, they're going to reject the load. So here's a brief timeline of what has happened with China and recycling. So in 2013, they put up something called the Green Fence, and essentially it was a warning. In 2017, they announced a national sword, which was a crackdown on illegal imports and contamination in recycling. In May 2017, the import fees doubled, and recyclers around the world saw that their costs for shipping out materials to China was much more expensive than previously. And in September 2017, some US curbside recycling programs stopped accepting some materials completely. This affected predominantly states on the coast, such as Oregon, California, Washington, Hawaii, because they're on the coast, so they ship most of their recyclables out. And we in the Midwest, thankfully, we have seen less of an effect from China's import bans and restrictions because we have our regional markets. However, a lot of our recyclers in the Midwest still feel the effects of this China policy. So in January 2018 is when National Sword actually went into effect, and this is when a lot of news came out about the policy, and probably when a lot of people heard about it.
It was actually an NPR this morning.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did hear about that as well. Yeah, and all of this means that the value of recyclables is going down. So it's a very big problem. Now, who does this affect? Like I said, it affects us here in the US, but also in Europe. They also send a lot of their recyclables to China. But globally, it is a very big problem. Now, with all markets, such as recycling, there are ups and downs. And the thing is, with recyclables, the economic value is down right now, but the environmental value of recycling is still very high. And so we cannot stop recycling. We have to continue to recycle. And now it is very, very important to have contamination be decreased in our recycling. So this is part of the reason why I'm doing this workshop, to educate people. Now, all right, with that, I'm gonna transition into the bulk of our workshop today, and we're actually gonna sort some stuff, right? Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to basically hold up items from my kit, and I'm gonna ask you all to help me sort it either to recycling, trash, or organics. And again, I'll just reiterate that anything that's put into the organics pile, if you do not have organics at home, that all has to go into the trash. Okay? So we'll start out with this pizza box. Yes. So pizza box is actually, if you have organics, that is the best because oftentimes it's covered in grease and food inside, and it's just not recyclable because of that. So if it is very greasy and all that, it's best in the organics. And it can go into recycling, but again, it's such a hard line to walk with pizza boxes, that it's better in the trash if you don't have organics. So, all right.
Why is it better in the trash?
Just because, you know, when you tell people, oh, if it's not too greasy, you can put it in recycling, they're like, what does that mean? Yeah, so it's, yep. Okay, so, great. Yes, this is recycling. Again, if there is food in there, just clean it out as best you can, but try not to use too much water. But it is recycling, so that's great. Okay, carton. Yes, recycling, great. And leave the cap on. So this has changed in recent times, but the cap is okay on the bottle. All right. Takeout container. It is trash, unfortunately. So especially this kind of Chinese takeout container, it is lined with plastic on the inside. And so that paper is just, it's so, not only is it lined with plastic, but it's also usually covered in food because it is a takeout container. So the paper is not worth very much at that point, so you just have to throw it away. So trash. Oh, I'm sorry. This should be moved over here. Right, I think so, yes. Okay. Yogurt cup. Recycling. Yes, recycling. So a lot of people, you know, this has changed in recent years. I think in the past, they didn't accept yogurt cups in the recycling, but now they do. The important thing about yogurt cups is because it is dairy, try to wash it out as much as you can. And, you know, don't waste too much water getting everything out, but just a rinse would be good. So put that there. All right, let's see here. A coffee canister. Yes. That's okay. Yes, it's actually can be recycled. So most of them I would say is a plastic that can be recovered. So again, make sure all that coffee is out of there. If it's a little bit, you know, grounds in there, it's fine. It can be recycled. Okay. All right. A T-shirt. Okay, great.
The simple bag, the simple recycling.
Yes, so in St. Louis Park, we do have that simple recycling, and that is, I think, an option that is only available for single-family homes. So if you have curbside collection, you can put clothing in this big orange bag, and they will take it away for recycling.
So where do you put that exactly? You have to get an orange bag.
Yes, an orange bag, and
They have a box at the rec center, I know.
Yes.
And if eventually you put a bag out, I only do it like a few months, but if you put it back out, then when they come to get it, they will leave you another couple bags.
Yes.
Where do you get the orange bags?
They have the box at the rec center, I know.
Yes.
What if you don't have curbside? Because I live in an apartment.
Yeah, if you don't have
Bring it.
curbside, so if it is, I'd say, if it is still usable, you know, it's not torn or anything like this shirt is, donate it to, you know, Goodwill or something. So yeah, if you have a car and you're able to go to one of these drop-off locations, you can take your clothing there. If you, for whatever reason, don't want to do that or can't do that, then clothing should always go into the trash. You know, if you just can't take it somewhere else where they can repurpose it. As I had mentioned before, you know, it gets tangled up in those sorting machines, so you really don't want that. Okay. Oh, cereal box. Yes, it is recycling. So let's put that there.
The liner inside is trash.
Yeah, the liner is, you can take it off, take it to a plastic film drop-off. And it's the same as like your grocery stores when they have that bin that says, you know, plastic film recycling. You can put that in. So just make sure it's empty, not full of cereal. Yes, yes. We're gonna move this to the side. Coffee cup. It is trash. Yeah.
What about the lid?
Yeah.
The lid is also trash. Yeah, and the sleeve is recyclable. So this is kind of a trick question. So the sleeve is recyclable. Yeah, usually that's not covered in coffee. but if it is, throw it away. But if it's normally, clean, you can recycle it. The cup and the lid are both trash, and I'll tell you why. So with the cup, it is very similar with the takeout container where it's plastic lined. Unless it says compostable on the side, that's compostable, but otherwise just assume that it's trash. The lid, even though this one has that triangle symbol with the tracing arrows, people think that means recyclable. Unfortunately, that symbol only is a resin code, so it tells you what kind of plastic it is. It doesn't actually tell you if it's recyclable. And the resin code is mostly for the manufacturers to know what kind of plastic it is. It's not actually for the consumer's eyes, even though in the public we think of it as the recycling symbol. So and the lid, the reason why it's not recyclable is because it's too small. And usually it's made up of materials that are just they don't want it. So, yeah.
So in St. Louis Park, the Starbucks, the cups
Yes.
are
Mm-hmm.
Are they compostable now?
Yes.
Yes.
One-
So,
Or just bring it up.
yeah, no,
I
that's a
think
good point.
it's on there. You can
Yeah,
use
so
that.
with St. Louis Park, we do have a city ordinance that requires all takeout beverage and, beverage and food containers to be either recyclable, reusable, or compostable. And so in that case, yes, the coffee cups are compostable, but always look for that compostable sign, that symbol, or that says compostable, then you can put it in your organics. And this is only in St. Louis Park, of course, so if you go to St. Paul, say, you can't expect that they'll be compostable. All right, so Carton. This is cream. Yes, it is recyclable. So this is the same as like an orange juice carton or milk carton or any kind of soup carton. They are recyclable. And again, you can leave the lid on, so it should be fine.
There's plastic lined, like, I know, right, like the coffee cup.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. To be honest, I'm not completely sure why. But they say, again, this is why it helps to think in categories. So coffee cup versus carton. The carton is recyclable while the coffee cup is not.
I'm thinking more like the Chinese container, because that's plastic lined.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost same kind of.
It is very similar, yeah.
More similar, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so, I can't exactly explain why, but it is. And so, especially with cartons though, just make sure to rinse it out again. It doesn't have to be super clean, but just rinse it out. All right, so it's a clear plastic container.
Recyclable.
Yes, it is recyclable. And you can also find these in delis. It's not necessarily like a takeout container, but with the clear plastic, it is usually recyclable.
So there's some containers, I'm thinking of like deli meat, does it look looks more like almost like a Ziploc container?
Oh,
But a
yes.
little bit heavier, but they're clear?
Uh-huh.
Would that still be recyclable, or is that?
No, that one
Reusable.
is,
Those aren't.
Those aren't.
Or like the things that you buy, like fresh pasta in,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
your ravioli or.
It's in a bag, isn't it, for those things?
Oh, there's some
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, but sometimes
Yeah.
without getting them at Costco and it's like a pound.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like,
Right.
like sometimes there are these containers, but they don't have any kind of recycling symbol, and they're not that hard, they're softer, and I have wondered
Yes.
about those.
Yeah, and that one, it's trash. And that's kind of the reason why is, softer materials are harder to sort than rigid ones. So this one is nice and rigid, it can go through the system just fine. But with those softer ones, it flattens, because when your recyclables go into the truck, they do compress everything. And so, it might look like paper to the machines, right? And so it gets sorted incorrectly. So it's more of a flexibility issue, so yes.
Should we flatten the milk cartons?
Oh yes, great question.
Lid pop off?
No, so you should not flatten anything in your recycling. Yeah, again, this is something that's changed. In years previous, they said crush your cans and all that to save space. But with the technology we have now, the machines, they identify items based on their size and shape. And so if you flatten something, it might look like paper to the machines. So leave them in their original shape. Yeah. So, okay. Oh, gosh.
Except for cardboard, right? Trash.
Yes.
Boxes.
Yes, except for cardboard. That's a great point. Cardboard, please flatten that because it's meant to be with the paper. So the next thing is, great, ice cream tubs are trash. Yeah, so unfortunately, this is that plastic line thing. So the carton is an exception. That's recycling, but with any kind of ice cream tub, unless it's that clear plastic, ice cream tubs, they're all plastic lined. And they also have some kind of technology to prevent freezer burn on your ice cream and just protects it, you know? So that makes it, unfortunately, trash. Nope. Okay, let's see here. Paper bag. Yes. You know, it's better recycling, unless it's, you know, say like, it's like a normal paper bag you get from Cub or something, and you have eggs broken in it or something. Sure, you can put that into the organics. Yeah. So, but yes, paper bags are recyclable. I will say, you know, some people collect their recyclables in paper bags, and it's always best for the recycling to be dumped out. So it's loose, and then you fold up the paper bag and put it in the recycling. So the problem is, again, when the truck comes and takes all your recycling, they compact it. And if you imagine, you know, your cans, your cartons, they're all mixed in there and they're crushed together. When they go through the machines, it might be stuck together. So that's not ideal, and you want everything to be separated. So if you can, just take your paper bag, dump it out, and then fold it and put it in your recycling. Or reuse the bag again to collect more recycling. So, yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Oops. I have 2 different cups here. They are both Coke cups. Which should go and where?
One is organic, second one is organic.
Yes. So this cup. Yeah, I'm sorry if you can't see the words here. It says compost this cup. So yes, it is compostable.
The other one's trash?
The other one is trash. So there's no labeling on it, right? There's no labeling. Yeah, it's that plastic lining. And with the compostable cups and things like that, they are usually made of a polymer from corn or some kind of plant, which is why they are compostable. But this is plastic lined, the one that's not compostable. So it has to be trash, and this is organics. So again, look for that sign that says, you know, compostable or BPI, if you know that logo. Compostable as a term is regulated.
Okay.
So if something says compostable, it is compostable.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing you have to watch out for is a lot of people have other terms like biodegradable,
Yeah, right.
or thing like that. Those are not regulated.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the issue. I know it's very confusing, but you just have to look for that word compostable. Otherwise, that BPI logo will indicate that it's compostable. Yes, and I don't know if this one has that logo that I can show you. Oh, it does. Okay. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's that logo in the bottom. Sure. Yeah, I can pass that around. That will help.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about wax paper?
That's a great question. I actually have wax paper here. Gosh, can I find it? Oh, yes. So this is from Taco Bell, and you know, you can get them for like burritos, or even if you go to a grocer, like a meat market, and they wrap your meat in it, it's trash. And again, for that same reason, it's plastic lined.
But what
So.
about like your own either wax paper at home that you're cooking with, or parchment paper is compostable?
Yes,
Right,
so
okay.
parchment paper is the brown one, right? So that one is compostable. But with wax paper, it's not actually wax, it's plastic. So they call it wax. I think in the past they used wax to waterproof it, but it's now plastic, so it's trash. Yeah, so it's great. It is recycling. So I think this is probably one of the first things that became recyclable when recycling became a thing. And again, leave the lid on. It should be good to go.
Should the paper be peeled off? Or is that just,
Oh,
is that just
no.
That's the way it looks?
Yeah, the paper is fine. Just, yeah, you can leave that on. So, yeah. Okay, so here's a different kind of takeout container. It's kind of matte, and you can tell it's matte.
It's not marked compost.
So this is unfortunately one of those things. Yeah, if you're not sure, throw it out. But this one I would say is compostable because you can see that it's that matte coating. And if you imagine, it's the same with those paper plates that when you put your food on it, it's like really flimsy and you're afraid that the sauce is going to drip through. That's because there is no coating on it. And so you can tell, especially if it kind of absorbs the oils, that it's compostable because there's no lining on it. Both or
No, just the.
this one? Yes. Yep. And this one, I believe I got it from St. Louis Park somewhere. Yeah, and yeah, yes. So it's compostable.
Would you say generally though, like paper plates is probably trash?
Yes, that's.
I've tried buying
Man, you guys are just on top of it.
Yeah.
I have paper plates right here. So,
Shiny.
yes. So if you see a paper plate that's shiny like this, or they have, those like flower designs or whatever kind of design, it's usually trash. So unless you can tell it's that kind of, like that really, there are more durable kind of paper plates that are not so flimsy, but you can tell that your food just kind of soaks through. The grease kind of gets absorbed. Those are compostable. But with the normal paper plates, if they don't, if it's shiny like this or has some kind of design, it's trash. So put that there, put that here. And I think I heard somebody when I asked about that compostable takeout container, recycling. So in reality, when you take your food home with you in that takeout container, it's not that clean, right? It's usually, like I said, the food has soaked in. You don't want that in the recycling because the grease has contaminated the paper that it's not worth recycling. So it can be composted, but otherwise trash if you don't have composting. So. Okay. A spray can.
Trash, right?
So actually,
Save it for.
yeah, so
Or save it for hazardous waste.
the problem with aerosols, we don't want it in the trash or the recycling or the composting. These aerosols, because they're pressurized, it's very dangerous either in the recycling or trash if they end up there, that it can explode. Even if it's empty, they can't, the workers there can't like actually test it out, right, and make sure that it's empty. So it can be a very big hazard, not only for the workers if they explode, but just fires in general. So with aerosols, you want to take it to a drop-off facility, so like Hennepin County's transfer stations in Bloomington and New Brighton. Otherwise, you can take it to a scrap metal yard, and they'll give you a few cents for it. So yes, this is not going to work out here. I'll just put it here. So this is drop-off, okay? Yeah, and that one's especially important. So, okay. Oh, this came up before. Utensils. Plastic utensil. It's trash. Yeah, so unfortunately, this is due to the size. Again, plastic utensils are trash, unless you can see that it's compostable. Like I have one here. It says compostable. I can pass that around too, but a utensil that is just a normal plastic utensil, that is trash. And the one that says compostable can be composted. Oop. Oh, grab that.
I washed some of my heavy duty ones and reused them.
Yeah, if you reuse them, that's even better.
Yeah.
So,
Or
yes.
if you just stick with stainless steel can.
Exactly.
Parties and picnics.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're just going for a picnic with your family, take 4 forks with you. Should be good to go. Yeah. All right. A glass jar.
No, since it's a metal lid.
Uh-huh.
does it stay on? Or should it
Yeah.
be-
So glass with the metal lid is fine if you leave it together. Again, the glass will get separated from the metal lid because they have those magnets. Even if it's an aluminum top, it should be fine. Just leave it together. The issue, with caps, I say in general, leave your caps on when you recycle something. The only ones that you have to take off are if it's a plastic container with a metal lid, then you know that plastic container isn't going to shatter like glass, right? And you can't separate that very well. So then you know the plastic gets stuck with the metal in a magnet, and then you have that contamination going on. Or the reverse is also true if it's a, I don't think I've seen this before, but a metal container with a plastic lid. It's the same issue. So those, I would say, take off the lid and throw the lid away. But otherwise, in general, you can leave the lid on and recycle them together. So, yeah.
And then like I drink kombucha a lot, so I get like the glass jar,
Yes.
and then it has the plastic lid, but then you want to separate the two, and then the plastic's just trash.
Yes, yes. Kombucha is kombucha is one of those examples that's great. It is glass, it's plastic cap on glass container, and yeah, in that case, throw away the cap, and the container can be recycled. So now this leads me into a different kind of glass. It's a reusable glass. Yes. So with reusable glass, it is not recyclable. The reason why is that it is meant to be reused many, many times, and so they're more durable, and the glass melts at a different temperature than this kind of single-use glass. Okay, so if you get this, you know, like pasta sauce or something like that, it's meant for single use, then you can recycle it. But if it's meant for multiple uses like this glass, obviously if it's still in good shape, you can maybe donate it, give it to someone else. But if it's cracked, like this has a chip in here, or if it's actually like cracked and broken, it has to be trash.
So how about like mason jars, canning jars?
Mm-hmm. So this is, again, why it gets so complicated with recycling. Mason jars are are you talking about the canning jars? Yeah, so canning jars are recyclable. If it's like that, the jars you buy, yeah, and then you have that metal, like it's like two separate parts for the lid. Yeah, so that can be recycled. That's the only exception. Okay, so plastic bag. Yes, yes. So I know I've hit on this a lot, but the reason why is plastic bags are the number one contaminant in the material recovery facilities. Yeah, so they cause a lot of problems if you put them into general recycling. But yes, you can take it to a drop-off if it's clean and dry. Okay, so that's the big caveat. If it's wet with food or you maybe have some meat on it or something, throw it away. But otherwise, yeah, drop-off. Hanger, a metal hanger. I'll put that right there. So, yes, yes, that is great. So reusable is even better, right? So a lot of laundromats, dry cleaners, they take the hangers. They would love that, so they don't have to buy more. And with this metal one especially, you can take it to a scrap metal yard. Say if it's broken, you can't reuse it again. Take it to a scrap metal yard. You can give it to them and get some change. So, yeah. Plastic hanger. Yes. So if it's yeah. So it is. If it's still reusable, I think you can still probably donate them to dry cleaners or something. But if it's broken, it's trash. Yeah. And again, because of the size and the shape, it's flat. See? So it looks like paper to the machines. Okay. A can. This is a tuna can. Yes, yes, it is recyclable. And this one doesn't have its top, you know, but if you have like a can opener, I usually just open it, you know, and leave like a little tab so you can like flip it. Yeah. And once you're done, you know, rinse it out, just push it in there. You're going to recycle the whole thing. So, yeah, so just put that there. Oh, I mean, we're not in the Christmas season anymore, but string lights. Yeah, so Drop off. You can, this actually, because of the wires inside, you can take it to a scrap metal yard. There are, I think, libraries around the county that do accept these string lights.
Yeah, like at the rec center, they have like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't collect them anymore.
Yes.
They do when it's
Seasonal.
massive, they will,
Mm-hmm.
seasonal maybe,
Yeah.
Home Depot, but
Mm-hmm.
at the rec center, it was a year-round bin, and then they got rid of it, but they had some other place you could bring them.
Yes. So.
Or- Oh, yeah, that's true. There was I think Linden House.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of options, and usually with string lights, it's seasonal. But if you happen to clear out your garage and like, oh, I forgot I have this, you can take it to a scrap metal yard. Yeah, the Hennepin County website is a great resource. They have something called Green Disposal Guide that you can look up, and you just type whatever it is, and it'll tell you what to do with it. So that's a really great resource. While we're talking about websites, I should also mention with the plastic bags, you can also find drop-off facilities around the country if you use a website called www.plasticfilmrecycling.org. And they have a location-based search. If you put in your zip code, I think, it will tell you, oh, these are all the places that are accepting plastic film. They have a sorry, I can't speak today, special designated bin for recycling plastic bags. So.
But bubble wrap, no.
Oh, yeah.
Bubble wrap can, yes. And that same website, plasticfilmrecycling.org, it tells you what kinds of film can be accepted. So bubble wrap is one. The plastic bag that newspaper comes in, if you still get a paper newspaper, that can be recycled as well. Bread bags, what else? If you do dry cleaner, like dry cleaning bags, those are all good.
Sometimes you can use reusable dry cleaning.
Yeah, that would be even better. Even better. So, yes. Okay. I have here a berry container. It's clear plastic. Yes, it is recyclable. So this is recyclable. Put that there. Let's see here. I have a cup that says certified compostable. Yes, the young man over there is ahead of everyone else. Yeah, it's organics. So this is okay to go here. All right. Oh, it's a granola bar wrapper, but same as any kind of candy wrapper. It's trash. Yes. Again, it's not only with the size and shape, it can be mistaken for paper, but it's also oftentimes composite materials together. So foil with plastic, with paper or something, it's just ridiculous. So, trash. Styrofoam. Yes, so any kind of styrofoam, whether it's a takeout container or say you get it with your TV, when you buy a new TV, it's trash. And it's mostly because of the way it's made. Styrofoam is meant to be, it has a lot of bubbles in it, right? So when you go into normal recycling, it's gonna crush up and it's not gonna work out. So trash, any kind of styrofoam is trash. Can. Yes, recycling. And again, try not to crush it, leave it in its own original shape. And, oh, great, I have this. So 2 kinds of wine cork. This one on your right is real cork, and this one is plastic. Yes. So the real cork can go into organics. Otherwise, there's actually a cork shortage in the world. Cork is made from trees, and so there's a shortage, and if you take it to a wine store, if you drink a lot of wine, they do have collection bins for that. Because there is a cork shortage, a lot of wine companies are now switching to plastic corks, and they are trash because of the size, again. Yep, so I'd say anything less than business card or postcard size, it's just, with plastic especially, it's trash.
What about a wine bottle with a screw top?
With a screw top.
Leave it together?
Yes, leave it together because it's
Metal.
It's metal, and they have that magnets to grab that. So,
Okay.
yep. Okay. All right. So It's a food truck boat.
Organic, unless we know it's. That looks like the one we were recommending.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah. So it is trash. And again, this is going to be because of that plastic lining. However, there are food truck boats that are compostable. Now, the caveat again is you have to find, it says, you know, compostable on the back. And I know you can't see it from here, but there's a word here that says compostable. If you don't see that or you can't read it, it's too small, you're not sure, when in doubt, throw it out. Right? So this is compostable, but that one is not. Okay? And again, look for that word compostable. Oh. All right. Egg carton. Yes, organics. Yeah, so yeah, so technically you can recycle it, but it's better in the organics because the paper that they use for egg cartons is kind of at the end of the line. So paper can only actually be recycled so many times before it's too short to be recycled again. And that's when they make it into egg cartons and things like tissue paper rolls or paper towel rolls. And so it's better in the organics than in the recycling because it's not as high quality of paper fiber. So. If it's like that styrofoam kind or the clear kind?
Clear plastic.
Yeah, if it's clear plastic, that's fine. Yeah. So if it's a styrofoam kind, you know, I've seen like blue or green or pink styrofoam, that's trash. Any kind of styrofoam is trash. But if it's clear, that's recyclable, and if it's not, it's compostable.
The ideal is to buy it though in paper. I mean, in the plastic.
Yeah, it's really up to you.
Okay.
Because yeah, either way, you're either composting it in the organics or recycling it. So yeah. Okay, so this is a food pouch, and this is for coconut, dried coconut, but yeah, it's trash. Yeah, so issue is, this looks like paper to the machines. It looks like paper. So, and the other issue is also a lot of these food pouches, because they're sealed for freshness, right? They have foil inside along with the plastic, and it just makes it too hard to recycle. So it's trash.
And not even plastic bag recycling.
Nope, nope. Yeah, because if it's a food pouch, then it's not.
You mean it has like the Ziploc thing, it can't go in plastic bag recycling?
So the only kind, that's a great question actually, because I do have a Ziploc. I have a Ziploc. And so the difference is, this is meant to be like food shelf stable, right? You actually, when you buy it, there's food inside. Yeah. And because of that, they have that foil and whatever mixed with the plastic, so it's trash.
Multiple materials.
Yes, multiple materials, and that's the reason why. With Ziploc, when you buy it, it's empty, right? You put your own food in there. And if it's clean enough, like this one, again, it's very subjective whether it's clean enough. But for the most part, if it's free of food or liquids and it's dry, you can put that with the plastic bags, film recycling. This is trash.
So there are a lot of food pouches that are more clear plastic, like cheese, cheese.
Right.
Or that's still all trash, right?
Are you talking about cheese sticks or
Pardon me?
are you cheese sticks?
Give an example.
Yeah, that's trash. That's trash. It's there are very limited things that can be recycled in plastic film recycling, and that kind of no, it's
So
not.
like the wrapper for a cheese stick, no, obviously.
Mm-mm.
But the bag, like if you bought a bag of cheese sticks,
Mhm.
the outer bag would be, right? That wouldn't have any food on it.
It doesn't
And
have
it'd
any
be only
food.
Plastic.
Yeah, and I would say that's trash. To be fair, like
Really?
and I'm not sure exactly why,
Yeah.
but I think it's just that, you know, when in doubt, throw it out, and I don't know what kind of plastic that is.
Website would clarify that too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I went to once, I'm not sure they don't really want.
Because there's a lot of cheese that gets
Yeah.
grated cheese.
Yeah, right, I mean, we had, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so unfortunately, no, it's trash. So, yep. Okay, this is one that stumped me for a really long time. It's receipts. It's trash.
Really? Why?
Yes. So
Is there a
the
film on it?
no, it's not actually. It's because of the there's a chemical called BPA on it, and that's what makes the ink. You know, so it's a heat activated ink. And the BPA is an endocrine disruptor. And you may have noticed on your water bottles, the reusable water bottles, it says BPA free, right? So BPA is an endocrine disruptor, and they have it on these papers, and that's why it's not recyclable. It's trash. Yeah, like, gosh. Yeah, any kind of heat-sensitive paper, I'd say it's trash. Yep. Or even like carbon copy paper, that's also trash. So if you can have a receipt emailed to you, or just say no receipt at all, that's even better, right? So you don't have to deal with it. Yeah. Okay. Coffee filter. Organics, yes. Obviously, it wouldn't be as clean as it is here. You know, it'd be covered in coffee grounds. But either way, it would be organics. So.
Or buy, we have a reusable filter.
Oh,
filter.
yeah.
So I haven't bought coffee filter in years.
That's even better. Yeah, reusables better than composting or recycling.
What
So.
about the coffee iPods now?
Yeah, those are trash. It's not only because of it. Oh, what was that?
You know, if you clean them out, they're still trash.
Yeah, it's because of the size. Yeah, and you know most people wouldn't clean it out anyway, so then you'd have coffee grounds inside, and it just no. Yeah, but it's mostly due to the size that is trash, and I think some are compostable. I have seen compostable ones, but you have to be very careful. Unless they say compostable on it, I would say it's trash. So, yeah. Even better if you just get grounds that are in that big container. Reduce, right? Yes. Okay. Paper towel. Organics, yes. If you do have organics, this is organics. Usually it's covered in food, so don't put it in recycling. So this is a bubble gum wrapper, any kind of candy wrapper. It's trash. And again, it's because of that composite material, and also the size and shape of it. It looks like paper to the machines. So this is trash. Okay, an envelope with a window. It's recycling, so this is okay. And again, this is one of those things that has changed in recent years. I think in the past they said, oh, take out the envelope window before you recycle it. It's okay now. They have a method to tear it off. They can process it, so it's fine. You just put it in recycling as it is. Okay, foil.
Rinse and recycle?
Yes. So if you use it to say like line your pan and you bake like chicken on it and it's all the fat and grease is there, I throw it away. But if say you only use it to cover like a bowl of pasta or something and it's relatively clean, you can recycle it. Aluminum is still very valuable. And what the recyclers I heard say is you should ball it up to about a baseball size. Don't compact it too much. You don't have to do that. Just loosely, into a baseball size, and it helps it go through the system. So otherwise, it's flat, and it again looks like paper. So.
Fold it.
Mm-hmm.
So ball it.
Ball it is better. Yep. Unfortunately, with yogurt containers, when they have that foil covering over them, if you tear it, you'll see there's plastic in there. Yes.
So the foil tops?
The foil
It's not
tops
straight
on.
foil.
No, not straight foil. It's like the foil tops for yogurt and things like that. That's trash. Yeah, because it's composite with that plastic. If you tear it, you'll see it doesn't tear the way that normal aluminum foil does. But if it's just normal aluminum foil and it's relatively clean, then you can recycle it. Yeah.
Wasn't there a time when some of the paper towels were advertised as having extra fibers in them to make them stronger?
Yeah.
Wouldn't those have been plastic?
Yeah, so that's a great question because with like flushable wipes or things like that, or baby wipes, those actually should be trash. Because of that strength, they do put plastic fibers in there to make it stronger. Yeah, exactly. And so if you imagine, it's never going to break down. Yeah, so yeah, baby wipes or those like they say flushable wipes. Number one, they're not flushable. They're not flushable. Yeah, they will not break down. And so throw those away into the trash. Yep, so unless it's straight up like paper towels that you would wipe your mouth with and it's the normal, terrible paper, then it's trash. So, yep. All right, so last thing, rubber band.
Reuse it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so if it's still good, right, reuse it until it breaks. But once it breaks, then it's trash. And again, it's people think it's just normal rubber. It's not. It's also has plastic in it. So you have to trash it. And while you're still here, as long as I'm showing posters, might as well. So a lot of people also ask me, how clean should it be, right? And with say like peanut butter, that's a very common question. Right. It's so dirty. It's, you know.
I can make a sandwich.
You'd be surprised. Oh, gosh, even my best friends, you know, they leave a lot of peanut butter in there, and it's kind of a waste.
I
But
can even get it cleaner than that.
yeah, if you know, a lot of people I've heard, the way they clean it is if you are running the dishwasher already, just pitch it in there, you know, and it'll clean right out. Even if there's some streaks a little bit inside, it's okay. Just to make it semi-clean, like that's pretty good, right? So, yeah, and same with the yogurt container, right? That's really gross, and that one's much better. And the pizza box, of course, you can't clean that. And like I said, it's better in the organics, so then you don't have to worry about, is it clean enough? Is it not? You know, but if you really want to recycle it, that's pretty clean. These are delivery pizza boxes. That's a big difference. With freezer pizza boxes, because they're meant to be frozen, they have some kind of, usually plastic lining, to preserve the food a little bit better. So that's trash. So if you have any more questions, you can come up and talk to me and all that. So yeah, but thank you so much for coming. Yeah, have a great day. It looks beautiful.